All right, let's talk about hacking our habits. We're going to dig into why most of our big, ambitious goals are kind of doomed from the start, and how a really simple shift in thinking can, well, change absolutely everything.
Okay, so before you do anything else, I want you to picture that one big goal you've got. You know the one. Maybe it's scribbled in a notebook, or maybe it's just been bouncing around in your head. But hold on, before you write it down, again,
And before you even think about opening that notes app on your phone, to make that list and promise yourself that this is the time it's all going to be different. I want you to just stop for 1 second. Because the way that almost all of us are taught to chase our goals, it's fundamentally broken. It's actually setting us up to fail before we even take the first step. This is something we can call the goal-setting trap, and it's a cycle that I'm sure feels familiar to a lot of you. It's that frustrating place where all our good intentions, all our big ambitions, they just seem to fizzle out and never turn into real results. I mean, we've all seen this, right? The gym is absolutely packed on January 2nd. You can barely find a machine. But by the time February rolls around, it's pretty much empty again. This isn't just a funny meme, it's a super predictable pattern of human behavior.
So that brings us to the big question. Why? What is going on here? If we all start with so much energy and such good intentions, why do so many of our goals just completely fall apart within a few weeks? Is it really just about not having enough willpower?
Well, the answer is probably not what you think. It turns out the problem isn't your goal, and it's not even really your motivation. The real culprit is buried deep in the wiring of your own brain, which leads us to your brain's hidden agenda. You see, for hundreds of thousands of years, your brain has had one primary job, and one job only, to keep you safe and to keep you alive. All this new stuff, self-improvement, growth, big goals, that's a very, very new concept for our ancient hardware. And this creates a phenomenon we can call grain resistance. When you set a big, audacious goal, your brain doesn't get excited about this shiny new future. No, it sees uncertainty. It sees a change from what's known and what's predictable. And to your brain's survival instinct, uncertainty feels an awful lot like danger. And this resistance, it's sneaky. It doesn't show up as a big red flag. It shows up as procrastination. That sudden, overwhelming urge to organize your sock drawer instead of going for a run. It shows up as that little voice of self-doubt. And of course, it shows up as the most famous excuse of all time. I'll start tomorrow. Now, this next idea is a total game changer, so I want you to really let it sink in. You don't lack discipline. You're not lazy. Your brain is literally just doing the job it evolved to do, protecting you from what it sees as a threat. And that threat is change. So, if we can't just power through and fight our own brain, what do? Well, we have to work with it. And that means shifting our focus away from outcomes and toward identity. This right here is the absolute key to making change that actually lasts. So here's the difference broken down. Goals are all about the finish line, the outcome. They say, I want to get this result. Habits, when you frame them around identity, are about who you are right now. They say, this is the type of person I am, and every action you take is a vote for that identity. This quote just says it all perfectly. You can have the biggest, most inspiring goals in the world, but when the initial burst of motivation wears off, and trust me, it always does, you will always, always fall back to the level of your underlying systems, to your habits. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually do this? It's time to stop obsessing over what you want to achieve and instead start thinking about who you want to practice being. So instead of writing down, my goal is to run a marathon, I want you to ask yourself a much more powerful question. What kind of person achieved this goal? Well, a marathon runner is someone who doesn't miss their training runs. That becomes your new identity. Let's think about it another way. The goal to get fit is so vague. It's all about some future outcome. But if you shift your identity to, I am the kind of person who moves their body every day, suddenly you have something clear you can do today with zero pressure of a finish line. Here's the kicker, though. You can't just say it. Your brain is way too smart for that. It needs proof. It needs evidence. Every tiny little action you take is like casting a vote for your new identity. You have to show your brain who you're becoming, not just tell it. Now, this brings us to the secret weapon. This is how you build that mountain of evidence without ever triggering your brain's built-in alarm system. It's a beautifully simple concept called the too small rule.
I absolutely love this because it's so backwards from what we're usually taught, right? We're told go big or go home. But to sneak past your brain's resistance, you have to go so ridiculously small that your brain doesn't even bother to fight back. The action should feel too easy to say no to.
So, your new identity is I'm someone who exercises. The habit to build that identity isn't a grueling 1 hour workout. Nope. It's one single push up. Can you do one push up? Of course you can. There is zero resistance there. You want to become a reader? Forget about finishing a chapter. Your new habit is to just read one page. That's it. It's so small, your brain won't even have time to come up with an excuse.
You want to learn a new skill, like meditating? Don't block out a half hour. Just do it for 5 minutes. See, the goal today isn't to become a master. The goal for today is just to cast one more tiny vote for your new identity.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. Let your goals be the inspiration, the thing that points you in the right direction. But never forget that the real change, the actual transformation, happens quietly, in those small, almost stupidly easy habits that you practice day in and day out. That's how you build the person you truly want to become.